This is what we're making. A basket set teardrop shape pendant. Morning. I'm going to make a pendant using the pear-shaped basket setting that I made, and I'm going to make the pendant so that it copies the shape of this. Because oftentimes you'll see these little settings and they'll just have a small jump ring soldered onto the end, and it'll be hanging there on its own. And to me, unless that actually has a 2-carat diamond in it, it's fairly plain. So by using a little bit of extra detail around it, we'll bring the attention to it, but yet it'll be large enough it makes a statement on its own. I'm using 1.2 millimeter round wire, and I'm going to make this about, the pendant will be about 30 millimeters long, 25 or 30 millimeters long. I'm going to do a couple of mock-ups in copper wire just to have a look to see what looks good before I commit to using the silver. I always measure my wire when I'm doing prototypes, so this is 65 mil, and I'm just going to wrap it around a ring mandrel at, just pick a spot really, as long as you note where the spot was. You can just bring the ends together so they touch, and then I lay this on my setting. Well, I kind of like that. That looks about the right size and shape to me. Yeah. So I'm just going to cut my silver wire the same. This angle looks good on the end. You could make it fatter or you could make it thinner. It's your choice. And what I'm going to do is make this, solder the 2 points where they come together, solder the setting inside, and then I'll solder a little jump ring on the end so that I can make a bail. I'm pretty happy with that. I cut my silver wire the same length as I did the copper. File the ends flat. You can either brace it against your bench peg or just hold it in your fingers. And it's easier to do it now than after it's soldered. And same point on the ring mandrel. Push it around until the ends are even and they touch. And then we'll solder the tip at this point. I'll file this on the same angle as where the other wire touches it, both sides, and it just so that we'll have a nice flat spot to solder. A little bit of flux on the spot. One piece of hard solder, 3 millimeters long, because I want to have a nice curve where the solder is. Your nice neutral flame, dry out the flux. Make sure the solder is in the correct position. You can push it around with your solder pick. I'm just going to circle the end so I don't have the flame pointing down here. Voila. pickle and check your solder join. If it's good, we'll move to the next spot. I'm happy with that, and I'm going to file the ends flat because I'm going to solder a small jump ring on the end of this now because it'll be easier. I've got the join up on the jump ring, and I filed the flat on the join, and I've put that touching my teardrop shape, and I'm going to put my solder at that point. And the reason that I put the join there is I'm going to solder the join closed at the same time I solder it to the jump ring, to the pendant shape. Now the jump ring is the same thickness as the rest of the wires, so it should solder perfectly just by circling the two. Give it a little push with your solder pick to make sure you haven't stuck it to your block. Now quench it and pickle it. I'm quite happy with that. And now I'll put my basket setting in place, and I'll solder it in place using easy solder because I don't want to undo any of the claws or any of the rest of it. So easy solder, just one piece on either side where it touches the teardrop shape. As you can see, I've placed the solder here and here, just where it touches. I'll zoom in so you can see. Initially, I'll just dry this out. Then once it's dry, if I'm sure that the solder is in the right place, I'll move in, keeping most of the flame on the wire because it's a little bit thicker. We don't want to melt our setting. Ta-da! Quench it, pickle it. Well, shift it with this and then quench it and pickle it. It didn't quite run, so there it goes. So now we're ready. Quench it, pickle it, and have a look at our solder join. If you're happy with your piece, make a bail to fit the top. Make your pattern in paper because it's easier to cut paper. When you're happy with the shape, transfer it to metal. So you can quite easily form your bail around in paper. Have a look. If you're pleased with that shape, make it in metal. And the piece that I'm making mine out of is 7 millimeters wide, 0.7 thick, and 30 millimeters long. So I'll just cut that into a diamond shape. Once you've cut out your shape, file it. Make sure it's symmetrical around the ends, just for aesthetics. Make it pretty. Turn the piece so that the inside is up. The inside will have your layout marks on it. Place it over this and look at where you need your rivet to be. So I want that to cover the join, and the rivet will need to be there. Yep. Now I'm using a small round burr, to make the depression for my drill. And I'm going to use a 1.2 wire for my rivet. So I'm going to drill. Turn so you can see. I'm just going to drill at that spot, one drill hole. Now, this will be the back. So we want to hall mark it now on the back. And then we'll form this using our flat round pliers. The round bit goes on the inside, and if you scribed your layout marks on there, you can just put the pliers in what would be the exact middle. But form it carefully because we want our two ends to come together fairly well. But we don't want them to come all the way together because we have some soldering to do first. So about that far apart. Yeah, because we're going to run our wire down through the hole to hold it in place, and then we're going to solder on the inside of this one so that our front will be nice and smooth.